You know, folks, I think increasingly that I find public history as being the responsibility to provoke, to absolutely provoke, not just to challenge, to hold accountable, but provoke other people into making sure that they can defend their asinine positions when it comes to their misrepresentation and distortion of American history and pull out all of those people who are a part of that project, who are enablers, who are supporters, who are tried and true followers. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is part of what we're doing on Instagram, but take a look at this response to a post I made on a post done by Mount Vernon. It might slither over here to TikTok, and if it does, we'll know. But let's go ahead and take a look about what not just Mount Vernon gets away with on Instagram. I'm not really worried quite so much about that because I don't reach that many people, but what their platform enables, what it in fact platforms. Let's give a look. Okay, this is for a post about shearing sheep and a video about the historical breeds they have on Mount Vernon, and it's a video of a costumed interpreter pretending they're in the 18th century, this awful living history cosplay that these places do, but a white person in 18th century costume assuming the role of being the person who shears the sheep. And they make a very big deal out of how long it takes to shear a sheep, 20 to 40 minutes per sheep. Now, my post, as you might expect, was pointing out how that work was in fact done by enslaved people. And how many lives can you measure in 20 to 40 minute shearing increments for people who are sentenced to forced labor their entire life to shear those sheep for George Washington's personal profit? These are the responses that I got within minutes. Nobody can change the past. Have a beer and chill. It's a post about sheep in 2024. The worry lines you must get from worrying about how wool was procured 300 plus years ago must be unbelievable. You're pathetic. Find a hobby. Within minutes, right? This is Mount Vernon's audience, right? But again, this is not about Mount Vernon. This is not about what they do on site. This is about how these communities are represented in digital media. And this is how these communities, in fact, exist to go ahead and project their distortion of American history. Now, I don't mind that they're patronizing or condescending. I make an art of being patronizing and condescending. I don't take it personally. These people don't know me. I mean, I have to deal with a 2.5-year-old most of the time, and so I'll just go watch Bluey and Super Kitties, and I'll be fine. But this idea that, oh, it's just about shearing sheep. Well, if it is, then why do they have a costumed interpreter? A white costumed interpreter shearing the sheep? Why are they making a video of that and posting that if it's just about the sheep? If it's just about something that happened 300, if it's not about 300 years ago, why are they setting it in that aesthetic? Why? Think about that. And then think about these posts and how quick they are. And don't worry about them being insulting or anything like that. I mean, that we get that all the time. But think about the dynamic involved between the aesthetic that's created by heritage institutions, represented in this case by Mount Vernon, the aesthetic that's represented in the past, a white male doing this shearing so that they can talk without a mention of the people who would actually do the work, talking about a historic breed, talking about a historical method of shearing them, talking about this person using exactly the same kind of shears that George Washington would have ordered. Go take a look at the post. And not for once mentioning the people who made it possible in every single way. The people who paid for the shears, the people who paid for the sheep, the people who did the shearing, the people who processed the wool. Not a mention. But they're going to deploy all of the elements of the aesthetic, put it into a video, and project it to you so that these commenters can feel comfortable about the warm, fluffy sheep. This is distortion. Active distortion of the past. As if white people did this. As if free white people did this. This is shearing the truth from history. Whereas if you had to, as George Washington did, if you had to encounter the brutality of enslaved labor sentenced for life every day, then boy, would you look at that fluffy sheep a little bit differently. How many enslaved lives got measured in 20 to 40 minute shearing increments? But no, the gentle aesthetic. Wait when it shows up here. Or just go and take a look at it on Instagram, which I'll repost this post there. Make it comfortable. This is about some of the other posts we've been talking about. Make it comfortable. Allow there to be no hint of anything that would challenge the core audience, white people. Because the first thing that they would see if there was a black person doing that shearing is that they would think of slavery. You know what would be the first thing that George Washington would think about that? Maybe the same thing.